A lot happening with Ethereum today. And of course, some people maybe have somehow figured out when this ETH ETF is going to launch. We'll break it down for you, along with a little bit more around the markets from a macro standpoint. You guys don't want to miss it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get started. I do want to thank our sponsor, and that is Tangem. This is a great self-custody solution out there. It is a wallet that comes in the way of a card. If you guys are brand new to crypto and you're thinking, hey, let's start this self-custody thing. Well, this is the first step. Go over to Tangem's website, just tangem.com, and you can get right there. I would say this is one of the best wallets out there in terms of simplicity, ease of use, security, all those kind of elements that are very important in self-custody. This is what happens with Tangem. All you have to do is hit that little Get Tangem button right there. It's going to get you into a 3-card set. You guys can choose what you want, but I would always recommend get a 3-card. That way you've got that extra backup. And get started. It works really great with their app. They're constantly updating all sorts of benefits, as well as very, very cool in terms of use. So check it out. Use our link. It gives you 10% off. Well, everybody's been asking about this, and it has occurred. The Republicans have now come in, and the House GOP leaders are declaring Biden unfit and alleging a cover-up of his mental state. This is a big statement from the Republicans in a way that could move the markets a little bit. We may see a little bit of this in terms of how this may affect markets in general, including the S&P 500. But I think a lot of people are probably saying, well, how does this affect poly market? And if you look right here, Joe Biden right now, this is looking at the 6-hour, up slightly actually, and then rose a little bit. So, and this of course is whether or not he's going to make the nominee ballot in November. We'll see how all this plays out. But political scenarios are definitely in play right now. I think both sides are definitely at bay right now. We're going to get into a few tweets right here. This is a summary of the Chair Powell's testimony. A couple of things. I think most of this is stuff you guys have probably seen, but I want to kind of make a few notes here. He didn't support the confidence around inflation, so the cuts are probably not going to happen as we've been talking about, probably till later in the year. Not appropriate. Needs greater confidence on inflation heading to 2. I think once they go sub 3, then maybe we have a possibility of it. Rates too late could be unduly weaken the economy. That's a big concern that I think even Chair Powell is kind of riding the fence on. The U.S. economy is expanding at a solid pace. I'm still in disagreement with that one because I feel like we are seeing much more impact on the economic front than what even Chair Powell is talking about here. Labor market conditions have cooled but remain very strong. Again, I think jobs are still cooling much more than maybe some people have expected. And inflation, elevated inflation is not the only risk we face. They're looking at more of a economic meltdown, and I think this is the concern that many people have is with continued high rates. Does it unduly put pressure on small business for growth? And that's the number one job creator in the United States is small business. So this is where I think we are right now. We're in a very precarious state where small business is now starting to get impacted, and how this plays out through summer. Because remember, a lot of these small businesses, summer months are their bread and butter. So you're going to find out pretty quickly how well the economy is doing, especially around retail sales. Other things that are happening, German government is now left with 22,800 in Bitcoin. So listen, they're running out. So pretty soon, eventually, that's going to be off the table. We might see some movement positively from Bitcoin and start to see some inflows, I think, on Bitcoin. We'll take a look at the chart as well. The ETH ETF applicants filed their updated S1s. You've got everybody in here, all the key players: Fidelity, Van Eck, Franklin, 21, Grayscale, BlackRock. All the typical players. They understand what's up, and they understand what's going on, and that is ETH is going to explode when this ETF hits. I just feel it. There's just too much there. Now, Garasi gets into a couple of theories behind this. I might be in agreement with this. And he said that Grayscale just announced it set a record July 18th for the initial creation and distribution of the Ethereum Mini Trust. And the ETHE will contribute 10% of its ETH to its Mini Trust. Why do you do that? Well, you know, is there something coming in that could be possibly affecting that mini trust? Well, this would be an ETH ETF. If you look at the Ethereum Trust right here, ETHE, and continuing to fly up, so still in a good position overall. And I do want to get to a few clips because the clips will give us a little more insight onto not only where the potential is for this ETH ETF, but what to expect once it does get here. Here's Garasi. Take a look.
Yeah, it's really interesting because if you look at the spot price of Ether, it's actually down over 20% since those 19B4s were approved on these spot Ether ETFs we're talking about. I think that just shows some general weakness in the markets right now. And as I think about spot Ether ETFs coming to market and what the demand might look like and how that might impact the spot price of Ether, if you look right now, the underlying spot Ether market is about 1/3 the size of the spot Bitcoin market. And I think that's a decent proxy for what to expect from spot Ether ETFs, about 1/3 of the demand of Bitcoin ETFs. If that happens, we would still be talking about one of the most successful ETF launches ever.
Yeah, so even with that, and again, 1/3 would be significant. That is enough, I think, to move the market significantly. Now, does it have the kind of impact that the Bitcoin ETF happened? I think that starts to play in when people start to understand. And what I'm talking about there is asset managers start to understand what is going on with Ethereum in general and the potential for it, because the opportunity is, what is the potential of it? People will start researching a lot more. I think asset managers will start asking a lot more questions. And I think that's when things get a little bit more involved and also very positive for this. Now, there was another clip here with Matt Hogan and Garasi, and they were talking about, you know, how much in the way of changes did you have to make for the ETF when it would launch? So what kind of things would they have to do to be able to deal with the ETF launch in itself? Take a look.
How much do you need? How much did you need to amend your application, and when do you think approval might be likely?
Yeah, great questions, Bob. I can't speak beyond what's in the filing, but I think if you look, the amendments from the previous one were relatively limited, and that tells us that we're getting closer to the finish line. I think what you're hearing about this week or next, that makes sense to me. This has been a very fast process. Remember, only 2 months ago, no one thought we were going to see these ETFs. Now it seems likely we will, and we'll see what the response is.
So just for people not familiar with this, the fact that the amendments that you had, the SEC filed comments in response to your S1, and you've now filed amended comments. The fact that the changes you had to make were minimal is a good sign, right? For people who don't understand this process.
That's right. It's like a fine-tuning process. Sometimes it takes one amendment. For the Bitcoin ETFs, I think it took 6 amendments. We're on amendment 2 or 3 on Ethereum, but we're getting to the end of the road is what it looks like based on the scale of the changes. You can't guarantee anything. You could get a curveball at any point, but it feels like we're getting to the sharp end of the point.
All right, so that's good. If they are in the alliance of saying, okay, well, their changes are getting less or less critical, that usually will mean that you're going to see the trigger occur, the trigger meaning marketing. And when we start seeing that marketing start to flow out, you know that next step is an approval. I think, again, back to the point of where these asset managers will start to understand a lot more about ETH as a whole in terms of an investment class and really start to change some minds out there. Further thing into this is you look at whether or not ETH versus Bitcoin, because this is the scenario that I think this is what's happening out there, at least when asset managers I talk to, is they always weight that, you know, it's ETH versus Bitcoin, what mix do they put in for their clients, all that kind of stuff, because now they're playing this. And you could also look at that from a staked ETH position as well. Now, Van Eck, Matt Siegel, we're going to have him on the show this week talking about the Solana ETF potential coming in from Van Eck, but he had some interesting, observations. Take a look.
I also want to kind of double down here on the question between Ethereum and Solana, because if you were one of the few issuers that may be offering both ETFs, how do you talk to clients about it? They are direct competitors.
Well, I mean, fiduciaries want to pick the asset that they think is going to go up the most and then take a bet. So this is the largest capital markets in the world. We're in the business of designing intelligent investment products and letting our clients choose. We've put out a lot of research on why we think that Solana may end up as the blockchain with the largest market share, but let's let the clients decide. And I would note that the SEC, all of these Ethereum ETF applicants are, have filed now. They have live filings, but it is not too late for the SEC to do the right thing and revert to its traditional first come, first serve process towards approving these ETFs. And under that framework, Van Eck would go first.
All right, so my mistake there. He's talking about the Sol scenario. I've got one more clip on with Garasi and Hogan about the ETH ETF, and I want to play that out because then we'll kind of get into the alignment on Solana because I think many people are asking that. So let's go to that clip real quick.
Staking allows you to make money essentially off of your investment. The SEC specifically excluded that. Why did they exclude it?
I think it's an added complication, and the SEC itself may have some concerns around whether staked ETF qualifies as a security or not. But if you look at the Ethereum market, more than 2/3 of all ETH out there is unstaked. Most people investing just want to get exposure to this asset, which is up thousands of percent over the last 5 years. The staking would be icing on the cake.
Yeah. And of course, Ethereum is essentially smart contracts too. And it's a different technology really than Bitcoin. I find that personally, I know we haven't talked about that, but I find Ethereum far more interesting than Bitcoin as an intellectual concept.
I think a lot of people do, and I think that's going to drive demand. When people say Bitcoin, they think digital gold. When they say Ethereum, they think tokenization, they think stable coins, they think DeFi. If you want to invest in those things, if you want to invest in the growth of tokenization, Ethereum is like the picks and shovels play. It underpins all of it. You can't have tokenization today without Ethereum. You can't have a robust stablecoin market. Yeah. And I think that is going to appeal to a lot of people. Well, this is what made it excited me, because DeFi is much more exciting to me than the idea of a new currency created ex nihilo, out of nothing essentially, because with smart contracts now you have the possibility to do real estate transactions, you could do stock settlement, you send money to a friend in England, you can do almost anything with that. That is exciting because that essentially utilizes the blockchain concept.
All right, so let's just be clear, guys. The CNBC, Matt Hogan, most likely this is a paid spot. Those are talking points of what I would think would be an ETH ETF company. And you do have to consider those things. But to his point, he hits on all the right talking points for an investor, which is what these asset managers are going to be doing. And they're saying, hey, Ethereum's a little bit more interesting. Here's the reasons why. Obviously, people understand, especially now, I think, people in the emerging class of investors, what I mean by that, Gen Z, and millennials to a certain extent, and that is what this might mean in terms of DeFi, in terms of things like staking, but also just the ecosystem in general. A lot of strength there, which makes me still very bullish on how this plays out for the ETH ETF. Now, going back over to Van Eck and what they're doing with Solana, Solana ETF boosts again. And this, of course, was coming in right here after the CBOE officially filed for a Solana ETF with the SEC. So we saw a little bit of movement here. Price went up a little bit. You can kind of see the crypto community expecting a possible major bullish breakout for Solana. I'd love to get you guys' feedback right now. Solana's been kind of, wavering a little bit. Yes, we've seen a slight growth. We'll look at the charts as well, but I'm kind of curious, are you bullish on Solana right now as ETH with the current state of ETH having the ETF right there, literally at the cradle of happening? Let me know in the comments. Make sure and drop in some questions over in the comments. I'll try to get some of those. And also smash the like button if you like these live streams and you like keeping up this way. Let us know. Just hit that like button. It does help share the news. 21 shares Van Eck, first to launch Solana ETF products, now seeking market approval after the CBOE has officially filed the 19B4. So this was all good. Rob Morocco, who's the global head of ETP listening to CBOE. Solana is one of the most traded cryptocurrencies after Bitcoin and ETH, and the interest continues to grow. I think they may be surprised even more so when they start to really understand the Solana ecosystem is only going to get explored even more and more. And I think now you're going to get a lot of people in this that are trying to figure out this technology could really, revolutionize the, what we know as the investment utilities that are out there. If a friendly cryptocurrency candidate is elected, everybody's looking at Trump, of course, being in that position right now. The changes in the SEC commissioner might bring more beneficial conditions. And I would have to agree. And, when you look at from the top of the show, where you've got the Republicans and the GOP really pushing hard to get Biden out of the position. This may be a bad thing for the Republicans, because if Biden does not make it to the ballots, what does that look like? Now, could it be Kamala Harris and a newly assigned vice president? Because that's what would happen if Biden were unfit for office. Kamala Harris would become the president and a newly assigned VP would go into position. That could change things up pretty dramatically. So you just don't know. It's the unknown that I get a little bit concerned around, especially now because there's been so much work by us, the crypto community. Coinbase, I know, has been doing a ton. And I think in general, the lawmakers have started to understand this, and we could lose a little bit of steam going into this. Here's Eric Balchunas talking about, looks like Solana ETFs are going to have a final deadline of mid-March 2025. Yeah, but between now and then, the most important date is November. Interesting date, because that is when we'll know if Trump is in the White House, and if he is, anything's possible, according to Balchunas. I think there is some big key things going on for sure. All right, guys, we've got a couple more clips here I want to get to. This is Matt Siegel talking about ETH and Sol, whether or not they're direct competitors, or would these kind of complement each other as an ETF. Take a look.
I also want to kind of double down here on the question between Ethereum and Solana, because if you were one of the few issuers that may be offering both ETFs, how do you talk to clients?
All right, we'd already played that clip. The one I want to go to is the Yellen clip, which was her talking about the FIT 121 bill. Let's go to that one, or the FIT 21 bill. Let's go to that one real quick.
FIT 21, I want to thank you. I want to thank Undersecretary Lang for the work you did on looking at our digital assets regulatory framework, which we worked on mightily over the last year on a bipartisan basis. I particularly want to thank the White House for the Statement of Administration Policy, which says that you're eager to work with Congress on developing legislation for digital assets to ensure a comprehensive and balanced regulatory framework. You continue to commit for the balance of this Congress to work with the committee and in the Senate to achieve a regulatory framework for digital assets?
Yes, very much so. I'm happy to make that commitment, and we have worked productively together. It would be nice to see this reach a good conclusion.
There's a clip that we almost didn't put in the show today, and then the research team kind of got it in and said, wait a minute, this is crazy. This is Yellen agreeing to aligning with what FIT 21 really means. And I think this is a huge step in the right direction. This could be a complete pivot, maybe even from the administration. I'm just wondering, because remember, we have a couple other things happening. You've got the SAB 121 coming back through the House, whether that gets passed or not. You also have the roundtable happening. This is tomorrow. And could we end up with something maybe on the other side of this that is a little different in terms of the Biden White House and their position on crypto? I don't know. There's just a lot happening here. And when you put that in, in combination with some other things that are happening, like this right here, which is, this is Mr. Gensler. We're announcing today that Policy Director Heather Sclaven Corzo, she's going to be leaving the agency. And this is Corey Clemmer is going to be appointed to the Policy Director, but she's leaving. A couple of points here. She's going over to a new public policy firm called Mindset DC. So I don't know who Mindset represents, but likelihood is they have a number of clients in the financial services industries, very interesting, including crypto focus. You got Paxos Paradigm in there. What's going on here? Is she changing teams here? Does that appear to be, or are they looking for the exits right now as things start to heat up here for the market in terms of the SEC? And whether or not most of those, I think, administration are even going to be in play come November. Tarrant also came in with this element right here, which I think is interesting. I don't know. This is a Democratic staffer, so take it with a grain of salt. But mainly what they're saying is that the SAB 121 is going to get a new pathway through this House bill called 5741. This is a new thing around custodial assets. It's being offered up by French Hill and Mike Flood. So this would essentially include a rider. There's some things there that would, mainly what they're talking about is kind of encompassing what SAB 121 was trying to do and rewriting it in a way to address the accounting treatment of digital assets, which is what the banks were trying to get to. So a lot of changes happening, as I said, very interesting political plays that are coming about. So you guys need to pay attention out there right now, especially with who you're voting for. Understand what their position is. If you're a single issue voter like me, and that is innovation equals crypto equals profit for most people, and or if you're in the S&P and you're looking at NVIDIA and any of the AI moves or Meta, you're looking for innovation. That's the whole point. And technology typically is leading that. So that's the way I vote. It's that simple. History has been made. Crypto is in the official GOP platform. This was another big breaking element. Republicans will end a Democrats' unlawful un-American crypto crackdown, oppose the creation of central bank digital currencies, and will defend the right to mine Bitcoin and ensure every American has the right to self-custody their digital assets. All of these are amazing statements. I just don't know if I can trust the government to do this, but if they do, this is coming in on the PDF right now. Such a well-designed PDF right here of the GOP platform. I'll go down to page 9, and in page 9, it's hidden down here a little bit, but there it is right there. Crypto. Let me kind of zoom on it a little bit right there. It's right there. Champion innovation, and I agree with that. Is if we're going to win in any of these emerging markets, if we're going to win in the evolution of AI, blockchain, what we'll see in the way of Web3, and really the next generation of payment systems and financial markets, these are the markets and the technologies that are going to do it. So I agree that they are on the right track. Let's hope that that is going to be the case. Other things coming in, you've got Paul Grayscale coming in here. Major American political party has declared its official platform is committed to self-custody. And I think we need to get that from both parties. And all the Democratic Party would have to do is just the same thing. It would just be so easy for this to be a bipartisan potential that would possibly sway millions of voters. Millions of voters. That's what I just don't understand for sure. So lots happening out there for sure. We're going to get into some of the charts, and we are going to get into some questions and also the poll. Let's take a look at the poll real quick. All right, what do we have here? Win Ethereum ETF, less than 10 days, 52%. Boy, it's a tied heat here because the 18th seems to be that magical, according to Garasi, it seems to be a magical time for the ETF. If I look at Ethereum right now, and we're going to go over to the chart a little bit, and we'll let our sentiment, our MSI is now available on TradingView, which you guys, if you're a part of the Diamond Circle in the MSI group or in our mastermind group, you have, we'll be having access to these indicators right there. So right now, trading sentiment right now still holding positive on overall for Ethereum, and it's still holding on the upside overall, which is right at about 33. And am I on the daily here? Let me see if I am. Let me pop out real quick. I'm on the hourly. Let me go to the daily, because on the daily, I think it's a little bit more negative. We'll jump down on that, take a look at it. Don't forget to drop some questions in. Yeah, still on the negative. So we're watching this closely. I'm watching ETH closely. If it does go, right now our numbers are in that 38 to 39 in terms of a pop on ETH once the ETF starts to move. Let's go to a couple of questions. XRP have earned the rights to become an ETF. Yeah, that's for sure. And here's Scorpa saying ETHE was his biggest mistake in crypto. As bad as it is for Cardano, there was a lot of times when Cardano was a very I won't say high performing, but it was. It was a high performing investment. Sure, there's been challenges with the ecosystem, all those, I get it, but maybe just it's not its play this time around in terms of a bull market. What do we have here? Giovanni says, my account 25K went up to 60K, didn't sell. Now it's at 20. Thoughts maybe I should give it up. LOL. I don't know. I'm still in a very bullish theme right now with where the markets are, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the blue chips in general. If you're looking at Solana, this is still a very bullish trend right now. Money flow right now on Bitcoin still exiting the market for sure. Do you truly think Trump will be good for crypto? as bad as I hate to say it, I think it will be. Now, he's going to be bad for a lot of other things, but for innovation, this is a business guy. I know business guys are maybe not the best to run governments because many people believe that there's a lot more things beside that. But when it comes to business, and if you have a business guy, then innovation is always going to be the forefront. You want to be number one. You want to have the Silicon Valley of whatever it is. And I think that's his framework. That's the way he thinks. Change Hard Fork. Love you, but you will eat your words. Okay, thank you, Rob. We'll see. Jeff Wolf says, Solana ETF timeline thoughts. Well, right now it's March 2025 was the date. So if we get something earlier than that, all bets are off. I look to November and we could see a lot of action. Definitely. D Godfather says, so that's why they're dumping, all before the launch of the ETFs. So it could be, there is some theory on that of why we're seeing some of the dump is they're repositioning against something else that's happening, meaning, guess what? There's an ETH ETF looming here for sure. The age of utility coins is coming. I might agree with that, Web Republic, because we've talked about this before of seeing some potentials there around, more and more things we're going to see going on blockchain for sure. Utilities could be a big one. What do we got here? Lovely Dream says, wow, 50-50 split on today's survey. Yeah, I know, right? For a 50-50. What, is it still holding at 50-50, guys? Let's see. 51-49. Yeah, wow. Huh. Well, there you go. Big surprise will be the Grayscale cuts its fee to 30 basis points instead of keeping the high fee. That would be a big surprise. New CEO incoming. That could be it, but remember that it's difficult to change your ways once you've had the whole apple pie, and I think that's Grayscale. They've had access to such revenue and profits that it's tough to change your rates if you still have a marketplace for that, because sometimes it's all about not quantity but the quality of that investor. So a lot of that playing out. If you guys are not subscribed now to the Diamond Circle, make sure and get in there. There's a couple of things that are happening over there now. We've got our communities all available on Paul Barron Network, which is where the Diamond Circle lives. Now you can communicate whether with other Diamond Circle members. If you're a mastermind, you're communicating with me. If you're an MSI member, you're on our pro level. You've got access to a lot more of our content. So check it all out. Just click the link down there. And of course, follow me out there on X. It's just @Paul Barron. I'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.